This is the Sons of UCF, the number one place for UCF sports. With your distinguished hosts, Adam.
What was your reaction when you got notified that you were going to be a Hall of Famer? How does that sound to you? Coach O'Leary, Hall of Famer.
Yeah, I'm inducted into a number of Hall of Fame.
And Mike.
I don't know if you know this, but I won the 5K race that we did a couple weeks ago.
Now, here are the guys.
Hi there. Welcome back into the Sons of UCF. This is episode number 165. My name is Adam, and as always, my friend and yours back again for another week, UCF Mike. Michael, greetings, my friend. How are you?
Yo, I'm doing great, man. Ready for another episode here. A lot of updates coming along our way, a lot of big news around UCF land, so ready to kick off episode 165.
Should be a doozy. Obviously, we'll have Cow of the Week coming up here in just a little bit. We'll take you news and notes off the top, some football stuff going on. Basketball, oy vey, what the heck is going on with that? We will dive into all that. And this week, joined by former UCF offensive lineman Josh McMullen, who just completed his fifth and final year with the Knights. You won't want to miss his thoughts. He revealed a secret tattoo that we did not know he and others had. Mike was really excited about this, and we think he left some NIL money on the table. So tune in to find out what that tattoo is, where it's at, and where the missing money went, Mike. And that's 165. I think it's going to be a doozy. What do you think?
Yeah, the interview was fun. The tattoo thing was interesting. Does that mean that these guys have that close of a bond that they all agreed to get a certain tattoo? Should we be getting a tattoo, a Sons of UCF tattoo? Me, you, Trace? Is that something we need to discuss here?
Ooh, that's a tough call. I mean, it's certainly on the table. We can put it on the table for sure. If you guys are in, maybe I'm in. I'm full admission tattoo free, so I don't have any tattoos yet. So I mean, I guess what better tattoo to get than the first one? I think we need like some sort of a milestone though. Like we need like 10,000 subscribers on YouTube. We need something if I'm going to get ink on me.
I don't have any tattoos either, and I'm willing to bet I don't think Trace does.
Why would you bet that?
So the three of us getting our first tattoo.
Why would you think
because
that?
I've seen Trace.
What does that mean? What does that mean?
I haven't seen any tattoos on his arms or anything.
Okay.
He doesn't look like a tattoo guy.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying. I'm not a tattoo guy either. There's nothing wrong with it. I don't have any tattoos myself.
All right,
but I don't think Trace does. But let's all do it. Well, let's set the number then. What are you saying? 10,000 YouTube subscribers? We get 10,000 YouTube subscribers, all three of us getting tattoos. Yes?
Sure.
Deal?
Yes, deal.
All right, we only got 9,900.
Yeah, we're like 200 or something. So we got a ways to go, people, before Mike and I and Trace are putting any ink anywhere near us. But more fun with that. While you're on the YouTube thing, go ahead and subscribe to our channel. This week alone, we're gonna have an exclusive. That's right, Mike. I said exclusive interview that's going to be dropping with a UCF theme connection that you haven't heard elsewhere, so you're not going to want to miss that. The interview tonight we did with Josh McMullen, we're again going to drop that as a video only on our YouTube as well, and that's also where you can find our live show with streams on Thursday nights 8 to 9, also on Facebook, also on Twitter. Don't forget to follow us on all those platforms at Sons of UCF. Mike is at UCF Mike 1, and for the regular pod, go ahead and find us wherever you get your podcast. Give us a nice little rating review. That would definitely make us a little bit easier to get to that 10,000 number. What do you think, Mike?
Yeah, that would help, right? 1,000 at a time or one review at a time. We'll take anything we can get. So, yeah, tell a friend, tell a few friends, spread the word here. It's the off season now. People need to keep up with UCF information. This is the place to do it.
So let's get to some news and notes, Mike. And a serious topic off the top. We obviously don't have a lot of information to pass along, but it was kind of rumored around on Sunday and then officially announced by Gus Malzahn on Monday. His wife, Christy, has been hospitalized dealing with an infection. No more details imminent. Nothing else really shared at this point. All he's asking for and all folks are asking for is their thoughts and prayers to Christy. We saw a bunch of UCF players offering their thoughts and prayers. Even some Auburn folks are still sending good messages and well wishes to Christy Malzahn. So again, we don't yet know the severity. We don't quite know what's happening yet, but I know, Mike, you and I both give our thoughts and prayers to Gus and Christy, and hopefully she has a speedy recovery and she's back at the bounce house real soon.
Absolutely. Really wishing the best for Christy and Gus. I know this must be a very tough time that maybe just came out of nowhere for them. I know it came out of nowhere for me when I saw the news yesterday. I was in shock a little bit. Glad to hear maybe that there's some better news on the way. From the last update I saw, maybe she was in a little better condition, but still, it's very serious stuff. When you're talking about somebody's health, things like this really put sports into perspective. Who really cares about? I'm sure Gus would trade in 10 Gasparilla Bowls just to have a healthy wife and make sure everything was going good. And this is not his first time already. The last couple of months, there was a little thing with his grandchild that was born.
Yeah,
there was an issue, so hasn't been smooth as the sailings for Gus. But best wishes to him and his family and Christy, and hopefully they recover as quick as possible.
Yeah, here. No easy way to segue off of that news onto football news. So I guess we'll do so awkwardly, Mike. One of the things Gus likes to do is he enjoys a good boom from time to time. That has been the official sort of tweet and announcement whenever a transfer or a commit decides on UCF. And we got a boom this weekend, Mike. 6'4", 243-pound tight end Keymore Gamble from the University of Florida announced that he will spend his final season of eligibility playing for the Knights, Mike, a 6'4" tight end. This kid obviously had a good year last year, 31 catches, about 400 yards and 4 touchdowns. And he's coming to UCF, Mike. And we took him from Florida. Take with that what you will, Mike. Big boom, little boom, or no boom for this one?
Oh, this is a big boom, baby. This is a position of need. We've been talking about this for seems like forever now, going back to the Heupel days. We haven't had that big tight end that can scare you, putting on points on the board any possession since Jordan Akins, I would say, right?
Yeah.
Kalubiali was a solid tight end. He could get the job done. He come up with a big catch when you need it. But this guy is a home run threat, really. He scored 4 touchdowns for the Gators. He was their leading receiver at tight end last year. A big kid, a big target, 6'4". That's great for the red zone areas. And when 3rd and 10, I'm always looking to the tight end. I grew up watching football, the Mark Bavaro with the Giants. Just a tough guy over the middle, give me a first down. That's what I love out of my tight end, somebody that can block. This guy seems like he can do all those things. So I think this is a very big boom. And coming from Florida, he just saw up close and personal what we did to them. And now he wants to be a part of the best team in the state of Florida. You can't really blame this kid. So welcome aboard, Keymore.
Smart move from this kid. And you're right, Mike. You and I talked a lot about, particularly when Mikey Keene took over, how great it would be to have that safety valve tight end that's just kind of floating over the middle that you can throw the ball to. And a big body guy like this can, do some basketball stuff, box somebody out, just get a tough 3-4 yard catch, give him that safety valve. Obviously, we set the over-under in our preseason Sundays at 25 receptions by tight ends. We got to 19, and those were all courtesy of Alec Holler. So adding Gamble to that mix with Holler, who's going to continue to develop, hopefully, as a tight end, bringing in Grant Stevens, who is just posting thirst traps all over the internet these days. The tight end room is looking maybe pretty promising. Obviously, we know we lost Hescock. Charlie Browder transferred out, but Keymore Gamble, I think, is a nice consolation prize. No disrespect to Charlie Gamble, but or Charlie Browder, excuse me, but Keymore Gamble, a nice consolation prize.
The tight end is if we're gonna utilize this thing the right way, it's gonna do wonders for this offense, especially when you have like a power running game with somebody like Isaiah Bowser. That just sucks in the whole defense. It just opens up the play action. So many more possibilities now. If you have a tight end that can do some damage, this is going to be, I think, a position of strength now. If you had to line up all the offensive positions, quarterback, running back, receiver. I know we do our position by position breakdown every week with Trace. But, tight end, a couple weeks ago you would have asked us, we probably would have said maybe the worst position group on the offense, and now looking like heading towards a strength. So Gus found a hole, and he's filling it, baby.
Well, that's I think the interesting thing what Gus is doing is he's filling needs. He's filling, big holes that he's had on the offense and on the defensive side. I think that's been, he talked about this is going to be a destination for transfers. We knew I think he said up to 10 spots to use. And I think he's been really selective with what he's gone after. So I think it just kind of shows you. We talked about this on one of the shows recently. One of the things Gus does really well is just roster management. And that's one of the key things you have to do now as a college coach. with transfer portal coming in, with high school recruits, red shirts, all that good jazz, extra COVID years. You have to be able to manage your roster appropriately. And, he's done a fantastic job of just roster management, making the right moves, filling the holes and the gaps in the offense and on the defensive side. And I think that's a big thing that he's definitely done.
Well, when he came in last year, he really didn't have a lot of time to evaluate the roster and fill in the holes in the last recruiting class. Now that he's had a whole year here, he's got a whole season under his belt. He knows exactly what all these guys can do. He's seen them all in practice every day. So now he knows where we need the help, and he's going after it. And then also positions where we lose guys. Tatum Bethune leaves. We need to fill in the linebacker spot. Okay, I'm putting a couple guys there. Tight end, we only had 19 catches out of that position. I want more. Give me Keymore Gamble from Florida. He's already picked up a quarterback. He's picked up guys in every position we've asked him to. So he definitely knows what he's doing when it comes to roster management.
Plus, imagine how disoriented the defenses are going to be when Grant Stevens plays with no shirt on. That's going to be definitely disorienting, Mike. And this comes off of the double boom over the end of last week. Ryan Swoboda, a 6'10" O-lineman, and Kobe Hudson, the top receiver for Auburn last year. So if we're counting Gus's portaling, I guess, we've got a 5-star linebacker, another solid SEC linebacker, a former starting quarterback in the SEC, a 6'10" O-lineman, an All-American the FCS level. And then you add in Keymore Gamble. Gus has gone portaling, Mike. And do you want to grade the portal so far for Gus? If you had to give out a report card grade, where are we? A? Are we B? Where do you think he falls?
It's hard to say until I actually see these guys on the field. Right?
That's no fun, though, Mike. That's not what the show's about. I don't need you doing research. I need a knee-jerk reaction grade from you.
Last year, we brought in Bowser and Big Cat and those guys, and they had a huge season. Ricky Barber, yeah, and I'm sure there were a couple guys too on that list that maybe didn't contribute as much as we thought they would. But a lot of them did, and some big-time guys, even guys that like Brandon Johnson, right? He was here committed before Heupel, right? Or
he committed to Heupel. Yeah, he committed to Heupel.
Yeah, so we've been lucky with the transfers last season, and I expect it to continue. Not every one of these guys is going to be a home run, I don't think, but majority, I think, are going to be big-time contributors every week. So if you make me grade them without actually seeing them play next year,
that's the assignment. That's the assignment. Very good. Way to go. That's what I needed, Mike, an A. And maybe we're not done. There was a defensive tackle from Auburn that was in the portal, and there's some thoughts. I think UCF, I saw maybe he's on his top 3 or top 4 list. So maybe UCF's not done. There's the kid from Miami who there was some talk about that seems to have cooled down on UCF's front. So every time an Auburn guy gets in the portal, the Gus Malzahn smile gif comes up from JP Gilbert, because he's going to be in the mix for that too. So maybe not done. Still got a couple spots left, Mike, and obviously the portal has been Gus's friends thus far. So maybe more to come. What do you think?
Yeah, definitely not done yet. And this is all leading up to the big signing day coming up next month. And then from there, we'll see where the roster's at. And then, of course, the portal's never done. So the portal can take us all the way to the season and keep us entertained the whole way. You never know what's going to happen. You never know who's leaving. You never know who's coming in.
Yeah, after spring, which I think I saw somewhere, UCF spring game maybe around Easter weekend. I don't know if that's official yet, but I think Brandon Helwig had that first. I think that's where I read that probably. But after spring games, after the spring season, it's not uncommon maybe for a player to realize where they are on the depth chart and say, hey, maybe I want to get out of here. So I think you'll see another round of portal at that point, because then you can essentially enroll for the summer/fall semester and be eligible to play. So portal maybe not done for Gus. Mike, what else wasn't done, and I don't know if you saw any of this, Mackenzie Milton, our former quarterback, got to the Hula Bowl this weekend, Mike. We saw him all week leading up to the game in practice. He was pretty much everywhere as an ambassador for UCF. Got on the field. I don't know. Did you watch any of that? Did you see any of the highlights or whatever there might have been highlights of the Hula Bowl?
Yeah, I saw a couple of highlights scrolling through Twitter here and there. I saw him complete I think it was his first pass over the middle for like 9 yards.
9-yarder, yeah.
So nice to see him. I saw him coming in, taking the field and warming up and all that stuff. So that was cool, man. Just seeing Mackenzie back at home, where he belongs, where he probably, saying it now, never should have left.
Yeah.
But Yeah, that was cool. You were there.
Yeah.
So take me through the experience. What was it like? How was the game? How are the seats? Tell me everything.
Yeah, so the entire, I guess probably middle 3 rows on both the upper deck and the lower deck were relatively full with UCF fans right behind the bench there. A lot of former players were out there. I saw Sam Jackson in the stands. We were pretty close to where Mackenzie's parents were, and he had a lot of people there. And so there was number 10 jerseys and Ohana shirts, everywhere in the stands. And anytime in that initial first, portion of the game when Mackenzie touched the ball or came out of the tunnel, just a standing ovation, just a roaring ovation. So it was great to see him back out there. He came out last, which was cool. He was a captain, which was great. He got to start at quarterback, which was great. So yeah, it was just good to see him back out there. Good to see him moving around a little bit. Shameful admission, Mike, that's the first time I've actually seen Mackenzie play live. So when he started at UCF, I was all the way out on the west coast of California, so I never saw him play live. The game I went to finally was LSU, which he didn't play in. So first time I got to see Mackenzie play live. So that was kind of cool to see. Look, he didn't have the most eye-popping statistical game. Definitely wasn't some of the Mackenzie of old that you and I probably remembered. But either way, just getting on the field was a big victory. And anytime he got near the field, he got a huge ovation. You can just tell how much love he has for Night Nation. And I'll say this: he stayed after the game. I think Jason Beatty tweeted something like an hour and 10 minutes or so, signing stuff for a little bit of time, then taking selfies with people, shaking everybody's hands. I mean, talk about a guy who just gets it and understands the role that he plays and takes that responsibility and wants to embrace it. I mean, Mackenzie Milton is all that and more.
Well, that's something we've always known about him. The character on this kid is incredible. I forget that sometimes he's 23, 24 years old.
24, I think,
yeah. He's a young kid. He's almost half our age, basically. And he understands exactly what he's doing. He knows the fans are the reason that, he's getting all this attention. People loved watching him play, and he loves this school. That's a great thing. He wants to do whatever he can to help this school. So he's a great ambassador for UCF. He's got a long future ahead of him here, working at the school, I'm sure. So it's great to have him back. What were his final stats on the day? Did he throw any touchdowns or anything? He
did not throw any touchdowns. He had one INT towards the game. I want to say, I don't know, it was like 6 of 14 or something like that. Again, this was a tough one because they were running very vanilla offense game-wise. I mean, there was not a lot of great offensive football being played. Very simplistic routes. The defense was sitting on a lot of stuff, so it certainly wasn't a great opportunity, I think, to showcase, at least in the game. But they always say, Mike, these whole all-star game concepts are really for the practices, right? And that's where scouts and coaches get to come watch practice and see you practice. And the game, while important, doesn't have as much weight. So, I don't know how he played and how he threw in practice, but I probably didn't get a ton of good reps here in the game. And a lot of that, I think, is just due to the flow of the game and how some of these all-star games work.
Yeah, and you're playing with guys that you've never played with before, right? You're all trying to get on the same page. We've seen it takes weeks. It takes sometimes years for a quarterback and wide receiver to get on the same page and be able to know what each other's thinking and be in the right spot at the right time. These guys have just met each other last week. So you're right, the practices, the scouts want to see the one-on-one drills, the offensive lineman against the defensive line, the wide receivers against the quarterbacks, things like that. That kind of gives a scout a better idea of what kind of player you are instead of just an all-star game where you get guys from all different schools coming together for one day. There were probably, I don't even know, but sometimes they have rules where there's no blitzing, where you're not allowed to do certain things. So to say it's a real football game, it's not. It's an exhibition. It's a showcase for these kids, which is a good opportunity for them. But, you can't really take away from the stats of the game, something like that. So just as long as Mackenzie's back, he made it through healthy, and now he can really start focusing on getting ready for the draft, right? That's what he wants to do.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm not an NFL scout by any stretch, and obviously, it's probably a long road ahead. But I mean, count him out if you want to, Mike. I mean, that's the thing. We've counted this kid out a few different times, and every single time he seems to come back and tell us and show us more about how special he is. So, while it certainly is a long road ahead and maybe a long shot, I think he's gonna try. There were CFL scouts that actually rode an elevator up with some guys from the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, I think it was. So there were some CFL scouts. So I mean, it's a long shot. Count him out if you want to, though.
Didn't he have a deal, or it was offered to him? A Canadian team had offered him.
Yeah.
Before he got hurt. He was already basically drafted, I think, something like that. Where somebody already selected.
Somebody owns his draft rights in Canada. I think is what I saw. So I forget who, maybe Montreal, something like that. Somebody owns his draft rights. That doesn't mean he has to go play for them, but essentially they have the right to sign him first. I think is how that works if he wants to go that route. But again, there's these spring leagues coming up, right? The USFL is coming back. The Rock was supposedly bringing the XFL back in some form or fashion. So, while the spring leagues don't always stick and there's some challenges there, I mean, if he wants to play football, he might have some options, which I think will be pretty cool.
To me, the Canadian League is miles above these other spring leagues that pop up here and there.
Yeah.
The Canadian League has been around for a long time. We have a lot of guys from UCF that have gone over there and had really good careers. I mean, Joe Burnett had a great career up there. We spoke to him about it. Brandon Alexander's having a really good career. William Stanback's having a good career over there. There's money to be made. It's a real sport in Canada. The rules are a little different, right? Was it like a 110-yard field or 120-yard field or something? Mm-hmm. You got to get adjusted to that stuff. But it's football, man. That's about as real football as you can get outside the NFL professionally. So that'd be cool, I think, if he went to Canada. Might be a little cold for him, but good for him.
Cold for a lot of people. The other thing Mackenzie broke, Mike, you and I didn't have this on the rundown, so I'm catching you off guard on this one. But Mackenzie was on the Dan Le Batard with Stu Gott's podcast, and he did an interview with Dan specifically about his time, and he mentioned one line that I thought was interesting. I don't know if you remember this, if you heard it or not, but he talked about how going to Florida State, and they were talking about NIL and basically the context of it, and said that Florida State's game checks are definitely bigger than UCF's game checks. And I thought that was an interesting comment. And I don't know what that means bigger picture, Mike, but overall, what did you take out of his interview if you listened to it with Le Batard and that comment specifically about the game check thing?
Yeah, was it game checks or cost of attendance or something?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. It varies school to school. And look, we're going to be up against it for a while. Even when we move into the Big 12, we're still not going to be bringing in as much money as teams like Florida and Florida State just because of the conferences that they're in and the contracts that they have set up. So we've been behind the eight ball for a long time. We're getting a little bit closer. We're inching closer with the move to the Big 12. But this is just another thing we have to deal with as UCF fans and as a program. When we're not able to pay these guys. And for the NIL, you're looking about whoever wants to pay the players to be there, they're going to be there. Look at what Deion Sanders is doing at Jackson State. He got the number one recruit in the country because he's giving them $2 million. So all we need are big-time donors. We can compete with anybody, but we need people to actually donate that money. It's all about money, like it's always been. It's a business first. College football is a business. If somebody tells you otherwise, they're lying to you. And now it's just more up front, and we can know about it more and where the money's coming from, I guess. So I'm not surprised that kids at Florida State make more money than UCF, whether it was through the NCAA or through NIL now.
Well, either way, we'll keep you posted with football as it goes on. Obviously, now the off season starts. There will still be another signing day here coming up in about a month. Typically, guys right now are working out. They're doing a lot of drill work. They're doing some running. And so there's a kind of a hands-off, I think, coaching period right now. And then spring will start sometime in March. UCF will get 5 weeks, I think, of practice leading up to a spring game sometime in mid-April. So that's kind of the football calendar. If any news is coming of the next couple of weeks, it's probably boom related. So obviously we'll keep you plugged in there on that. Tune into us on the live show too. We'll often have some guests on who can maybe shed some light on that stuff, Mike. But what we do need a light shed on is what in the hell happened to the basketball team Saturday night in Tampa. We go over there to play the Cows in their arena, Mike, coming off of a nice win the game prior. We're all feeling good about ourselves after beating Memphis. BJ Taylor's on here telling you, hey, don't worry, Mike. I told you, Mike, everything's fine. And then all of a sudden, it's not fine, Mike. 75-51. Cows just drub UCF, just wipe the floor. We weren't in that game very long at all. It was like 4 minutes in, and that thing was already getting out of hand, Mike. Ugly basketball performance. And this is one that's got a lot of people saying, hey, what about Johnny Dawkins? Like, maybe he's a good coach, and and you got this, you got that, but a lot of people are saying you can't lose to your rival, and you cannot lose like this. Are there other adjectives besides gross that you want to use to describe this game?
Look, we can't lose to the team that's in last place in the conference that hadn't won a conference game yet. And, oh, by the way, it's also the Cows. And then to be beaten by 24 points is an embarrassment. Like you said, to never be in the game. I don't know what to tell you. This was maybe the worst loss we've had under Johnny. Can we say that? Is this the worst loss in the last 4 or 5 years here? 2 for 20 from 3 points?
Yeah.
I mean, what the heck is that?
Yeah.
2 for 20? I can hit more than 2 for 20. I'm pretty sure I can hit more than 2 for 20.
I need a video of
I'd
this.
have to be wide open.
Sons of UCF YouTube channel, UCF Mike shooting threes collision
In fact,
course.
I know I just did it recently on the cruise I went on. I at least hit more than 2 for 20.
All right, we're gonna have to tape this.
It's probably like 4 for 20. Not much better, but better.
Yeah, we're gonna need like your daughter to put her hand up or something just to give you some defense. Yeah, it was bad, Mike. It was from the go. You could tell the Cows were definitely a little bit more energized, more hyped up. Obviously home game for them. That's to be expected. I mean, that's sometimes how these things work, right? The home crowd gets a little energy jolt off the top. By the time after the first media timeout, that 16-minute mark, things start to settle in. And that just never happened for UCF. There's not a single player on UCF that scored in double digits. Our leading scorer was C.J. Walker with 9. 3 guys had 8. You mentioned 2 of 20 from 3. That includes 0 of 3 for Darren Green Jr. That includes 1 of 2 from Darius Johnson. 1 of 5 from Darius Johnson. 0 of 2 for Freeman. 0 of 4 for Perry. We just couldn't buy a 3-point shot. And just everywhere, it just seems like they out-hustled us. The rebounding advantage is absolutely just gross. UCF had 26 total rebounds. The Cows, 53. I mean, they pretty much doubled our rebounding output on that alone, including 21 offensive rebounds, Mike. That's basically 21 opportunities to go back and score again, or second chance points, whatever you want to call that. The Cows had 25 second chance points overall. It was abysmal.
I joked last week that we didn't get any offensive rebounds against Michigan because we didn't miss any shots. Well, in this game, we missed plenty of shots to get offensive rebounds on, and these guys just dominated us up front. This is bad, man. This is a bad loss. This is worse. This is worse than the Temple loss, obviously, which was bad a week ago. This team now has proven over the course of this season, it basically plays to the level of the opponent.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
We play a good team. We play good basketball. Memphis is a pretty good team. Michigan's a good team. Oklahoma was good early in the year. We played them tough. Even the Auburn game, we were in there for a while. We play good teams. We play well. We play crap teams. North Alabama, I think, what did we win that game by? 9? That one earlier in the year. Temple, and now this one. The Cows are the worst team in the conference. Make no mistake about it. They're bad. This is like when we lost to Navy in football, right? I kept telling everybody, we lost to a bad team. And we lost to a bad team here in basketball. I don't know what to tell you after this one, man. Not good.
We never had the lead in this game, so there was a couple of times it was tied 2-2, 4-4, but we never actually had the lead in this game, Mike. And here's the thing. I get that this is a make or miss kind of thing. You're going to make shots, and when you make shots, you're the best team ever. And when you miss shots, you're the worst team ever. That's kind of how this works. And you're just going to live with that. UCF's just got a team of streak shooters. That's just how it's going to be. We know that they're good shooters, but we've seen Mahan and Green get hot and just go on a 3-point barrage, and we've seen them do something like this, where they can't seem to buy a basket. They're a combined 1 of 7. So that's fine. I get it. Where it was shocking was just an overall lack of even of a defensive presence. Look, if you can't hit a shot, that's fine. I mean, it's basketball. It's what it is. But you can still get on and play some defense. You can get your hand out on somebody who's shooting. You can block out and get a rebound. You can do some of those little things. And the defensive side, and that's Johnny always talks about. He wants to be a defensive-minded team. He wants to be defense first. I mean, it felt like defensively we just gave up early on, and there was no energy. There was no spark. And BJ Taylor told us this recently on the live show. Basically he was saying, who is going to be the leader on the court? Who's that player-led leader that is going to, get the guys rallied around and kind of tell people this is not acceptable? I didn't see anybody doing that. Like, I didn't see anybody, rallying guys, pulling guys together, getting anybody's face. It just seemed like it was over early and there was disinterest. And I'm fine if you want to miss shots. That's basketball. You're going to do that. But to not play defense, to not box out, to not get rebounds, that's a huge red flag for me.
Yeah, our leading rebounder was C.J. Walker with 4. 4 is the leading rebounder. A couple other guys with 3. But you know what? You just brought up a point to me that our friend Dexter Lyons said the same exact thing, and this was before this game, that this team doesn't have that guy, the guy that the team can look to and when you need him. The leader. Who is the leader on this team? Tell me. And we got a lot of good guys who can score. We got C.J. Walker is a great energy guy. He gets the rebounds. He does the dirty work. He does all the hustling. Green can shoot the threes. Mahan can score points. But who's the real leader on this team? Who's the guy? Who's the face of the team? If you would have told me before the season, I probably would have said Darius Perry was taking on that role towards the end of last year, and he was going to come back for this season, and he was going to be that guy. Whether he scores the most or not, that was not the point. But just to be the leader on the court, I don't know if I've really seen that out of him this year. Who is it? You tell me. I think it should be. And I guess it depends on the players' personalities and stuff, but I would think it could be Walker. That's the guy that, to me, brings the energy, like you said, like a Chad Brown type of guy. He couldn't show that leadership role. I don't know who it is. Do you?
I don't know. Yeah, C.J. Walker would be that guy that you'd think you'd turn around and say, okay, this guy's playing his ass off. I better do the same. So you would think he would be that guy. Naturally speaking, I mean, a lot of teams, it's the point guard. You have the ball the most, right? You're kind of the guy you're thinking about. You're typically the guy who's going to take the last second shot or make the play like a BJ Taylor does. So to your point, Darius Perry would kind of naturally be that role. Darren Green's probably I don't want to say their best player, but he's definitely their best offensive weapon, leading scorer on the team. Typically that guy is your leader, but he seems like a pretty quiet kind of guy. Mahan's the same. Isaiah Adams didn't even score in this game, Mike. 0 for 4, only played 15 minutes. The former Florida Mr. Basketball, now scoreless in this past game. That's just been an interesting drop from his season last year. And you're right. It's a team that needs to get it together. ECU coming up here. ECU just beat Memphis on a buzzer beater, but still just beat Memphis. And this is not going to get any easier. I think the Cows are someone like in the net rating of like 200 and something. And so this is a terrible. I mean, not just to mention, to your point, a rival. Not to mention you get blown out, but this is a net 250 team. And now we throw that L on the resume. I mean, I know we all said the sky wasn't falling after we lost a close one at Temple, but I mean, the sky is definitely closer to your head now because you're going to need to run the table and do some miraculous things to get in the tournament if you're going to sport a loss of a net 250 to a Cows team. That's just not going to work.
Right. The only way we can negate that is to beat a Houston on the road, right? Or sweep Houston.
Yeah.
A quality team like that. We're going to have to definitely make up for this bad of a loss. Or we're going to be talking about, the conference tournament is do or die. We got to win the whole thing. And there's the other option. So one good thing about college basketball is you still have a chance once you get to that tournament. You got to get hot for a week.
But here's the thing. Would you be surprised if they beat Houston?
No, I wouldn't be surprised if they got hot for a week and won the conference tournament.
And that's the problem. Yeah, that's the thing here. If you told me we beat Houston by 10, I'd be like, yeah, that makes sense. So-and-so got hot and so-and-so hit a bunch of shots. Like, that's the problem with this team is Jekyll and Hyde every week.
That's the thing. They're lacking that killer instinct to go up against a lesser team and just dominate them. Go in there from beginning to end. We saw it early in the year, too, in the non-conference schedule. Yeah, we beat, Bethune really badly. But like I said, the Northern Alabama, there was another one in there that I'm not thinking of right now that wasn't that big of a blowout either. And now it's trickling into conference play. I know these teams are not as bad as I make them out to be. Like I say, the Cows are horrible and Temple is horrible. They got talented kids. They have the Division I athletes on their team. I understand that. They can have a good game too. but we should not be going and losing in the fashion that we are. We didn't just lose to the Cows. It's not like we lost it. Hey, they made a nice play at the end. They had a steal, or like they did, like Temple did. They got the jump ball on us. They had the arrow, something like that. No, these guys beat us by 24 freaking points in a game that we had no business even being in. That's the part that scares you.
I think Jacksonville was the other team you're thinking of. We 63-54 win over Jacksonville. Well, so this brings the Johnny Dawkins question back up, and I know everyone, typically when this happens, right? You and JP Gilbert get the hot seat emojis tweeted your way, and I know we've had some fun about Johnny in the hot seat, Mike. But I'll say this: the team is not so much the loss to the Cows; it's the inconsistency that we've seen this season. And, will this continue on at 10-5 right now, sitting at 2-3 in conference, Mike? I know firing up the hot seat is not something anyone ever wants to do, but is that seat getting warmer for Johnny Dawkins? If things continue in this trajectory, is this something that he turns around, or do you think he's earned the right to have this year and to get a chance to go into next season?
Like, this is where football and basketball are different too, because if we're here in football and we lose a couple of these conference games early and you're basically eliminated from the conference championship game, like has happened in the last couple of years, then I get all upset. And, we're not even playing meaningful games in November, and this sucks. But like I just said with basketball, just get into the conference tournament, Johnny get hot, win that. And if they won the conference tournament, went to the big dance and won a game there, nobody in their right mind is going to even question Johnny Dawkins' job, right?
No. Yep.
I mean, he's gone to the tournament twice in the last couple of years, won a couple of games. He has the program going in the right direction. We'll all be saying the same thing. But now, I mean, we got to start talking about some. I don't want to say he's on the hot seat yet, but that's the term that we throw around this show a lot. So, but he's the things I just said about this team that was wrong with this team. That's coaching in my eyes. If the team doesn't have a killer instinct, if the team can't put away lesser teams, to me, that's coaching. I mean, we see that we have the talent on this team. Now, every once in a while, you're going to have a night where the guys are just not hitting their shots. I understand that too. But when that's happening, you got to find other ways to get in the game. Like you were just saying, you got to go attack the boards and things like that. So that's on coaching too. And it just seems like we keep coming back to that year after year, the last few years of questioning Johnny.
Yeah.
So we're going to move into the Big 12 soon.
Well, that's the problem.
It's going to be tough.
Yeah, that's the problem is, Timo's going to have a tough decision to make because the Big 12 basketball conference, I mean, it's like the SEC of football. I mean, it's where a lot of the best teams are playing at. I mean, Baylor, Kansas, Oklahoma State. I mean, it's where a lot of Oklahoma will be gone, I guess. But that's where a lot of the good Texas Tech, Texas even is getting better. That's where a lot of those teams play, Mike. And, if we're in there, even with Oklahoma and Texas for a couple seasons, and we're struggling to beat, Temple and SMU, and we're getting blown out by the Cows, that's where Timo's going to have to look and say, okay, how do we set ourselves up to be competitive year one in the Big 12? I know that's going to be a tough task no matter who you are, but I mean, there's going to be some tough decisions to make because we've talked about this since the schedule came out. After this ECU game, which is coming up here on Tuesday night, so by the time you listen to this, you probably already maybe know the outcome there. Next Saturday, they have Tulane. Then it's the stretch, Mike, at Wichita, versus Houston, versus Cows, at Memphis, versus Wichita, at Houston. A 6-game stretch where the season will, in my mind, be decided by this. If we somehow get lucky and miraculous and get in a hot streak and win those 6 games, it's a brand new season. But if we go 2-4 in that stretch, 1-5, God forbid, I mean, this thing's off the rails in a hurry. Then at that point, we're like a 500 basketball team.
Yeah, every time we talked about that 6-game stretch, I threw the game with Cows in there in the middle, and I kind of shrugged it off. Oh, yeah, the Cows at home, that's a win. I'm not sure anymore.
Yeah.
So that's a very tough 6 games you got coming up. And let's just get to that 6 games first. Let's win these games against East Carolina first, before I even get to that, the way this season's going. But the problem with the basketball program, and it's not just Johnny Dawkins' fault. It's your fault. It's my fault. It's everybody listening to this podcast's fault. We don't care as much about basketball. Therefore, people don't put as much money into the basketball program, which is why even if he wanted to get rid of Johnny, he may not be able to afford to and then hire another coach. And it's just the basketball program doesn't bring in as much money. right? It's basically what it is. And that goes down to other areas too, like recruiting. How many coaches can you fly around the country to recruit the best players to come here? It's a big issue. I don't know how it gets fixed. You would think winning brings more excitement and more people wanting to go and buying tickets to the game. But we just had a game against Michigan at home where it was basically half and half, Michigan home game and a UCF home game. That shouldn't be the case. This place holds 9,000 people and change. It should be full every night with the enrollment we have, the student base we have, and then the fans in that area that can go to those games. Going to a college basketball game only takes a couple hours. It's not like an all-day thing. You can make a game on a Tuesday night or a Saturday night. That place should be packed every week, and it's not. And that's part of the problem with the basketball program too.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Johnny's done well recruiting-wise. I mean, we got the Hendricks twins coming in, the bigger kids, a top recruit. We got some big recruits that came in this past season. I mean, Johnny's done well recruiting-wise. I mean, we brought in talent. He's got talent on the team, and that's the scary part is a lot of these guys are gone. Perry's going to be gone next year. Mahan's going to be gone next year. Who knows what's going to happen with Darren Green if he'll test. Isaiah Adams, I mean, transfer portal collision course at this rate. And so Johnny's going to rebuild. And Timo's going to have to make a tough decision here. Either we're going to be all in, we're going to try to support him as best as we can, and just to your point, recognize kind of where we are, where we're not, or he's going to have to make a decision about if this team can't pull it together, if Johnny can't keep, get things in that direction. And again, I'm not the knee-jerk guy. I don't say fire him after the Cows game because, to your point, it's random, it's basketball, that stuff happens, but it's been inconsistent throughout the year, and he's got a stretch coming up here where I guess we'll figure out what he and the team are made of. But either way, I think we have BJ coming back on the live show Thursday, Mike. I'm curious to see if he's back off the ledge. Is he on the ledge? Is he reaching a hand out to you? Where's BJ going to be at on this one?
Should we call him now? You want to do a live? I haven't called him. I haven't texted him. Trace gave me his number. I've been teasing it on the live show. Yeah, I'm going to call you. You want me to do it? Should we call him? It's a little late now.
It is late. That's the problem. Yeah, we probably should have done this earlier or text him and said, hey, we got a prank. But maybe we'll figure that. I mean, you guys can Trace and I'll just take a break. You guys can hash it out on the live show.
All right. Yeah, well, I'll let him slide for another week. But I'm going to say something now towards the basketball program. I want your opinion on this. I'm going to mention a name. And this is somebody that we all know. And he can turn this basketball program around, and it would be the hottest ticket in town, but there's issues that come along with it. And his name is Rick Pitino. How do you feel? If Rick Pitino is the basketball coach of this team next year, how would you feel?
I'm fine. I'm good. I'm good.
Take the win here because we will be good. Iona is good now, right?
Yeah.
You're talking about him getting to go coach in the Big 12, which would turn him on, right? And when, like you just said, the SEC of basketball, he's going in there and going up against those big dogs. He'd take that, and we can pay him what Iona's paying him. I think Iona's only paying him $1 million.
Yeah.
So just let that swirl around in your head. I know that there's a lot of issues when you take on a name like Rick Pitino, but you want people to get excited about basketball. You want to make the Sweet 16. You want to make noise in the college basketball world. I just solved your problem.
You know what? I was hoping you weren't going to say Bobby Knight because I think he's like 90. Because
I would have taken Bobby Knight 20 years ago when we were in school.
Because he's like 90.
He came back to Texas Tech, right?
Yeah.
And we're like, why can't we have him?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting to see. I don't know if there's a previous connection between him and Timo. His son, Richard Pitino, coached at FIU for a couple seasons, so he's kind of used to Florida. That would be interesting. I would be interesting. You heard it here first. UCF Mike is starting the Rick Pitino to UCF rumors.
He comes in next year with 3 of the top 10 players in the country to follow him. I mean, I know everybody's got on their moral high horse right now, but let's see what would happen. That would be interesting, I think.
That would be interesting. Yeah, I think we'd all
makes for some good podcasts.
We'd all be willing to maybe overlook a couple of hookers here and there and some money under the table if he wants to bring us to the Final Four, Mike. But
NIL's legal now. He's got his own bag, man. This guy.
That's fair. That is fair. He's got his own hookers too. Either way, we got to get it turned around. Let's see what happens. To your point, we got 2 games before we get to that 6-game stretch. We got to win these next 2. If we can't win these next 2, it's going to be all kinds of out of control. So let's hope for the next 2, Mike, and then we'll take flight from there, Mike. What also might take flight is your personal life, your love lives out there. Each and every one of you. I'm talking to all of you. Maybe you got engaged to that special lady over the break time. Maybe you guys got back and you've been just doing the fiance thing. Dinners, meeting families. Spending some alone time. Hell yeah. Well, now it's time to plan, Mike. And you know what happens when it's time to plan. You got to figure out what you want to do. You got to figure out how the dates, all this other stuff. But you don't have time for all this nonsense. You just need to send some stuff out and get it over with and done with, Mike. Luckily, you know somebody that can give everybody a really big boost, a really big help with that. Tell everybody about Paper and Links.
Well, you just mentioned it, guys getting engaged. When you're engaged, you can only put off setting that date for so long, right? Yeah. You maybe get a year, maybe some people have been engaged for 2 years, 3 years. That's a long time. But eventually you got to settle down, you got to pick that date. And when you do, you got to get invitations made. And who are you going to call to get those things done? My sister, Michelle, 954-597-6426, paperandlaceboutique.com. Check out all the invitations she can make for you. The invitations, the vow books, the thank you cards, the menus, everything that you need printed for this wedding, she's got you. So give her a call, check out her website, see what she can do for you. Guarantee you will enjoy not only the product that she makes, but the experience, how she makes it easier for you getting everything done. Because the last thing you want to do is stress about something like invitations, right? You're going to have so much stress going on with this wedding. Let her make this process easy for you, and she will do that. Give her a call. Again, the number is 954-597-6426. You won't regret it. Tell her you heard it here on Sons of UCF. 10% off your first order.
Do that now, folks. Do not wait. Coming up next, Mike, our interview with the Mud Turtle. You don't know who that is. Figure out who it is after this. Don't go anywhere.
This is UCF head football coach Gus Malzahn, and you should listen to the Sons of UCF like your hair is on fire. Go Knights and charge on.
All right, really excited for our guest this week. He is a large human being, much larger than Mike and I, probably combined. We should do the math on that one of these days. And one of the guys who did the dirty work for UCF in his 3 years of the program. Happy to have Josh McMullen, offensive lineman, who is kind enough to join us on the show this week. Josh, first off, thanks for taking the time to join us on the show.
No, thank you for having me.
We appreciate it. You, as I said, you're a large human being, and you committed to UCF to play O-line before the 2018 season. Obviously, that was the first year that Heupel was part of the program. So take us through your recruitment a little bit. What led you to come to UCF? Who was your primary recruiter, and when did you know that you want to be a Knight?
So originally I had been recruited by the Frost staff at first, but, after about a week or so, that kind of went dead. So, I didn't hear much from UCF after that until I saw Coach Heupel had taken the job, and then Coach Calorie hit me up. At that time I was committed to Colorado, so I was a little iffy. It was getting close to signing day, so, I didn't know if I really wanted to go down that route at first. But, good friend of mine, they offered him to. He played Krista Loach. He played DN for UCF, and he ended up talking me to take him an official. So, I took the official and just automatically fell in love with the place. I mean, it was a big thing for me when I was getting recruited was I wanted to find somewhere where I could tell the team had a really good bond, a real tight-knit group of guys. And, I didn't feel that at a lot of places I took visits to. But, I mean, as soon as I got to UCF, I could tell that group was something special. And they had a really, really close group. So, for me, that's pretty much what sealed the deal for me. I mean, I knew Hype's offense was fast. I knew, Coach Ellerby was a really good offensive line coach, had a really good pedigree about him. And then, that was it,
Talk to us about what was Josh Heupel like as a recruiter? For fans and media, all we really saw from him was, go 1-0 and all three phases of the game and, leave it all out in the grass. All we saw was kind of cliches. What was he like as a recruiter? Was he funny? Was he charming? What was he like as a recruiter?
I'd say Coach Hype was definitely just a player's coach. I mean, he did a really good job relating to guys. And, I think that the fact that he was a college athlete at one point, he understood that, what we were going through on a day-to-day basis to an extent. And, I think he just had a way of talking to people that, maybe not to the media, but one-on-one, he's a pretty good recruiter, I'd say,
As an offensive lineman in his system, how much did you enjoy seeing the defenses have to fake injuries to try to slow you guys down? Or did you yourself just say, hey, I wish we would just slow down on our own?
That offense was fast, and there's no doubt about that. I mean, you can tell Tennessee now they're still flying around. But, I mean, yeah, that was definitely I want to say a morale booster. When you see a D lineman dropping to the ground, faking a calf cramp, I mean, it just lets you know that you're getting the ball moving and you're beating their tail, obviously. So, I mean, that's definitely a big deal. Like, especially when you're moving that quick, you get guys laying down on the ground. I mean, it goes to show, that their morale's down here and our morale's up here at that point.
You mentioned you were a transfer over from a community college in Mississippi. Who were the guys that were already on the team? You mentioned how the team was close-knit, it was more like a family. Who were the guys that kind of took you under your wing and helped you make that adjustment over to UCF?
Definitely Cole Snyder and Sam, and two definitely. They were actually the guys that took me on my official. And from then on there, I could tell, these two dudes are close. I mean, they're young, at the time, so that was something I was looking at too. But the way they interacted with the older guys, like Wyatt Miller, when I was there, you could definitely tell that they were all close together and everything. And then Jordan Johnson, obviously, he was a big time character, and just to see the brotherhood that those guys had built, it was definitely something I was excited to be a part of because, throughout my entire career, I've always had close teams, from high school all the way to junior college, we've been really close groups. Still talk to a lot of those guys today. And, seeing the way they interacted with each other definitely made a big impact on my recruitment.
Josh, I read that your first year, obviously you got to UCF in January, that you spent pretty much the next 8 or 9 months just working on your game, working hard, and put yourself in position. You were actually one of the guys at the top of the depth chart leading into that first game against UConn. What kind of things specifically did you have to work on in that offseason that you knew you wanted to get better at as you got to UCF?
I'd say the main thing was my weight at the time because, I graduated high school at like 200 to 195 pounds. So like making that transition to a junior college and gaining weight, I made it to about 270-ish before I transferred to UCF. And then once I made that weight, I had to get it up higher. So, I was up around 300 by that point. That was a big thing for me. And then just building strength along with, just getting an understanding of the offense and an understanding of how the pace changes from level to level. You don't really get an understanding of how fast-paced the game is until you're there playing it. But, gathering that, and then all of a sudden, I had to work on just my mental aspect of learning football, and getting to the point where, I could play without thinking. Also, I think my pass pro was something I really wanted to work on a lot because I made a change. I always played left tackle, and then Coach Ellaby wanted me to play right tackle that game. So I had to switch it up a little bit. And that was a challenge in its own, just being a guy that's never played both sides of the line like that.
When you say you had to gain weight or you had to get more weight, what does that mean? What do you have to do specifically? Guys like Mike and I, we eat a pizza, we gain like 10 pounds. For an athlete like yourself, what do you have to do kind of to get yourself to the right weight and keep yourself at a good, healthy weight to be able to compete?
Well, a big thing for me was I just needed to put on mass. That was the biggest thing, was eating a lot of calories. The thing is, college athletes, we burn a lot of calories every day. You're going to burn a lot. So, most of the time, for an offensive lineman that's trying to put on weight, you're thinking in the ballpark around 8,000 calories a day, Jeez. And then you got to watch your protein intake and all that kind of stuff. So you want to make sure you're not just a sloppy, 300. You want to be as fit as you possibly can, as lean as you can at 300 pounds.
What does an 8,000 calorie diet look like? What was a typical meal for you?
Oh man, back then let's see, I'd start off breakfast. I'd eat like 1 or 2 omelets most days. Maybe a pancake if, I could stomach it. And then one of our strength coaches, Rodney Hill, he actually was kind of in charge of my weight gaining process. So, he would always force feed me shakes. And, those shakes had anywhere from 8 to 1,000 calories a piece. So, you're taking in a lot of calories throughout the day. And that's the biggest thing is making sure you're taking it throughout the day and not, just you can't take that in one sitting. So, breakfast and lunch would look about the same. I'd eat, anywhere from 2,000 to 3,000 calories at lunch, and then dinner would be about the same for that.
So you joined a team that was undefeated the year before you got there. Then your first year, they're undefeated again in the regular season. We lose the Fiesta Bowl, but a team that's not really used to losing. And then we go into 2019. We start off hot again. We beat Stanford, but then we have 3 really tough losses that year: Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, Tulsa. What was the locker room like after those games? Was there any finger pointing going on? How was the reaction of the team after some of those losses?
I don't want to say finger pointing, but, you could definitely tell there was a shift. You got a bunch of guys that are not used to losing games like that. But you also have, a small group of people on the team that have seen UCF at, their low points and everything. And, I think having those older guys in the locker room to help guide us along the way, it helped a lot with keeping our morale up and, understanding that, those first 2 years we had undefeated were just, they're great. That's the standard. But we're not going to get to that standard without, by, pointing fingers and playing the blame game and all that stuff. So, it was definitely a big part of our seniors that year to keep us up, keep our heads up, keep our chins high.
What actually hurts more? Because those 3 losses, I think, combined 7 points, very close games. Would you rather lose that way, just a nail biter, maybe a missed kick at the end, like the Memphis game last year? Or would you rather just get blown out like we did against BYU in the Boca Bowl?
Man, that's a really tough question, actually. But, neither one of them feel good. I'd say the ones where, a little closer game, they hurt a little more just because it was within reach, And, I think there's lessons in both of them. But, that's a tough one. I'd definitely say the ones that you lose by a couple points definitely hurt a little bit more.
Yeah, I know as a fan, those hurt me the most. But I'm thinking if I'm a player to just get spanked like that like we did against BYU, that might be rough too. I don't know. But for a fan,
those kind of losses definitely hurt the pride more than anything.
Yeah.
But I don't know. There's a mental toll taken on you when you lose a couple games back to back, and then it's all about combined 7 points, like you said.
So at 2018 season, you walk on the line and you turn around behind you, and there's a young kid named Mackenzie Milton at quarterback who just did some unbelievable things with the football in his hands. How long did it take you to adjust to his playing style where no play was dead? He was going to draw something up in the dirt if something wasn't there. He was going to make a play, make a guy miss. He was always kind of making things happen. As an O lineman, how tough or how long did it take you to adjust to realizing, hey, no play is really ever over until Mackenzie says it's over?
I didn't think it took very long. You see it, he does that same stuff in practice. The guy we called it the Mackenzie magic. No play was ever dead, like you said. It didn't matter what was happening in the backfield, who missed the block. KZ probably had a way to get out of the pocket and make something happen. So, block till you hear the whistle. That's something that we've taught, we've had taught to us since, Ellerby, at least, that block to the whistle, to the echo of the whistle. And, with Mackenzie, that took a whole different meaning, And, yeah, you definitely – I don't know, man. That guy's crazy. There's nothing sane about what he was doing that year.
Well, obviously, this past weekend, he got back on the field at the Bounce House for one final time playing in the Hula Bowl. Obviously, you were there in 2018 when he went down. You saw him, obviously, on campus rehabbing. What were your thoughts? What were your emotions when you saw him kind of run back on the field one more time this past weekend back at the Bounce House, knowing everything he'd been through?
Honestly, just pride, seeing that guy be who he is. It's a proud moment to know that you wear the same helmet as that guy. I mean, to see what happened, in a first-person view, just to see the emotions run through the whole team, and seeing him in that training room every single day, whether he was in the pool or, having somebody rehab his leg for him, doing stuff like that, seeing the pain he went through after the first handful of surgeries and everything, the grit that kid has is unbelievable. And then just to see him walk out there on that field or run out there on that field and, on his own two legs is just unbelievable.
You also got to block for a few pretty good running backs, some with different styles. As an offensive lineman, does it change your approach at all if you have a speedy guy back there or a powerful guy like Bowser? Is there any difference in the blocking? Are you trying to get to the second level, or any difference at all between different styles of running backs?
I wouldn't say you try to change your style of blocking per se, because, most of those guys, they're making their plays based on who the O-line is. You could just block how you normally block, and those guys are going to make things happen, whether it was Taj in 2018 just running people over, or AK, just bending the edge and, burning it downfield, or, now you got Zay who can run just about anybody in the conference over. It doesn't matter who you put in front of that guy, or Johnny who's going to fly downfield. I wouldn't say you would change how you block per se, but, there's a couple guys that, the heavy hitters you want to block a little bit more for now, just because, you see them running through people and taking beatings all day. So it's like, yeah, I'm definitely going to block to the whistle for this guy. But
is there any difference in the blocking schemes between what you were doing with Heupel and now with Malzahn? Basically the same? Or
I'd say with Heupel, it was more fast paced. So we didn't have exactly time to set up things the way we wanted to set them up. And now with Malzahn, it's still a quick offense, but, it's slowed down a little bit more to the point where now we want to get things set up exactly how we want them, and we want to get blocks and double teams pushed back to, people who, to the second level. And, it's different in that aspect because, like I said, when you're moving fast as lightning and you got guys falling on the ground catching calf cramps and stuff, you don't really have to worry. Things just magically happen, and, there's a hole opened up because somebody wasn't lined up perfect. Now it's more of a hard-nosed blocking scheme, like line up in front of us, we're going to beat you type scheme.
Is it a lot more pulling guards? I kind of noticed that a little bit more this year. Do you have offensive linemen in motion more in the Malzahn system?
Oh, yeah, no doubt. We definitely pull a lot more, run a lot more power, a lot more GT counter this past year than we have in the past. And, I think our guards like it, though. I know our tackles definitely like it. They get to pull a lot more than we have in the past, but the guards, Kahi and Cole, them boys love it. Especially Cole. That son guy's got a head like a brick, so he loves running through somebody's face.
I assume as an O-lineman, that's more fun for you, that style where you're gonna, set guys up, you're gonna make guys kind of work for it and impose your will. Not that Heupel's offense didn't allow that, but to your point, the speed was a big part of the element there. Where Malzahn, you guys get to be more hands-on, more tacticians. Do you enjoy that more, getting to manhandle somebody and really kind of take their will versus kind of just out athleting them, for lack of better words?
Yeah, I think there's pros and cons to both. I like both. There's out athleting somebody. It's definitely it's a great feeling. There's nothing better than, making your way up to the second level. And then, you got a linebacker that's 230 getting out athleted by a guy that's 300. It feels pretty good seeing that. But also, I don't think as an offensive lineman, there's any better than just running through somebody's face. I think just being able to actually, you grit your teeth, and all of a sudden you throw your head into someone, you can hear the bolts clank a little bit. I don't think you can beat that part of the hard-nosed offense that Malzahn runs nowadays.
Well, going back to 2020 for a second, obviously COVID impacted that entire season, that entire year for you guys. I know that was kind of a weird offseason, talking to a lot of your teammates the last couple of years. They've talked about just how unique it was. What was your experience like trying to stay in shape during COVID, maybe not knowing, when you guys were going to play? How did that whole offseason and so how did you experience that whole time in sort of the unknown period of the COVID year?
Oh, man, COVID was weird. So I lived in the dorms at the time, actually. So, once campus closed down and they kicked everybody out of the dorms, I had two choices to either go live with some friends in their apartment or, their house they were renting or whatever, or I could go back home to Mississippi. And, everything was closed down, so I really didn't want to go back all the way to Mississippi, So I ended up living with a couple of my teammates for the majority of that. And we actually got pretty lucky because they actually had a weight room, or not a weight room. They had a they had a barbell and a rack and, a couple 100 pounds of weight. So, we got to work out pretty often just to kill boredom. I mean, the big thing was we didn't know when we were coming back. So, staying in shape was something we really wanted to do. We didn't want to get back into the weight room with, our strength staff and then, just lose everything pretty much that we had gained over the past year and a half, 2 years. And, that was definitely the hardest part was the mental discipline of, telling yourself, hey, you got to wake up at a decent time. Hey, you got to go to bed at a decent time when there's no set schedule like that. But no doubt it was, COVID was wild. That's for sure.
Did you I know some of your teammates, there's a bunch of guys who opted out. Did you give any thought to not playing at all, or were you always going to be all in as soon as there was a chance to play football?
I was all in from the beginning. I mean, the whole sitting around for a whole year and not doing anything just didn't sit right with me. I mean, I like to be productive as I can when I can be. And, the opportunity to go back into the locker room and, play football and be on the field with the guys was just too much of an opportunity to pass up for me.
What was your reaction when you found out that Heupel was leaving? And I know a lot of guys on the team were very vocal about wanting Jeff Lebby to take over. What was your whole stance on that, and how did you approach that whole situation?
So, I mean, we had an idea that it was going to happen, before it happened. So at the time, it was kind of a thing, okay, well, if he's leaving, who's he taking, because that's the biggest thing when a head coach takes another job is, well, now all your other position coaches, none of them have jobs for sure yet, at least. So, we were wondering, all right, who's going to stay, who's going to leave, who's going to take with him. And, I think I don't want to say it wasn't a good feeling at first when he left. We were all kind of upset, pissed off to say the least, but I mean, at the end of the day, he had to do what he had to do. I mean, I can't hold that against him, especially in this industry nowadays. But as far as Jeff Lebby, no, we all definitely wanted Coach Lebby in the mix when it came to picking a new head coach. That's for sure.
So they announced Malzahn. I know probably not the player's first choice, but now you've had a year to work with him. What is Malzahn like as a head coach? Would you describe him as a player's coach? Is he a disciplinarian? What's he like behind the scenes in the locker room?
I'd say he's a good mix of a disciplinarian coach and a player's coach. I mean, he's going to hold you to a standard. And, I mean, if you don't meet that standard, there's going to be consequences behind that. But at the same time, I think he can go from that to getting down on a level where he's personal with a player. And, I think he says it all the time. He's not a college coach. He's a high school coach. And I think I think when he says that, he means it because, I mean, he reminds you of every Southern movie coach you've seen. I mean, he's that guy. I mean, definitely a great guy, no doubt about it. I mean, I like his coaching style. I like him as a person. I think he can get down, like I said, on a personal scale, and I think he actually generally cares about his players.
He doesn't curse at all, does he? All the clips I've seen of him, he might be one of the only football coaches I've seen that doesn't actually curse. Was that something new for you?
Yeah, it's definitely something new for me. I mean, I've never – I take that back. My junior college head coach didn't cuss at all. I think I've heard him once. And then I don't think I've ever heard Malzahn cuss. So that might be a first, never hearing a head coach cuss ever. But, Malzahn, he definitely has a way with words. Besides the cussing part, he'll get after you. I mean, you'll sit there and have to think about what he just said to you sometimes. And you're like, man, that's kind of harder than cussing at me. Geez. But I mean, no, he's definitely a first, I guess.
Is that like when he told Obarski that he's going to make him go for it on fourth downs a lot? I mean, that was kind of rough.
Oh, no doubt.
Well, you mentioned you spend more time obviously with your position coaches. If we thought Glenn Ellerby was interesting, tell us about Herb Hand. He seems like a really interesting dude. He seems like he's the kind of guy that, coaches you guys hard, but you guys all seem to have a really good connection. The Our Time series, the episode about the O-line, it seemed like there's a genuine love and bond between you guys. Tell us about Herb Hand. What's he like as a coach?
Coach Hand he's a character to say the least. I mean, he's the type of guy you're either going to love him or you hate him. I mean, he's going to get after you regardless of how you feel about him. I mean, he's going to hold everyone to a standard. And that's a big thing for him is the standard. I mean, if we fall below the standard, I mean, I can promise you it's not going to be a fun day in the room. But, with that comes I want to say like a fatherly connection, because, I mean, yeah, he's getting after you, but it's not because, he just wants to get after you or whatever. It's definitely – there's definitely a love there. He definitely cares about his players for sure.
Yeah, one of my favorite parts of that. Did you get a chance to see the Our Time series? Were you guys watching that one week after week?
Yep.
One of my favorite parts was Matt Lee got injured and was trying to play and couldn't go, and they had him mic'd up walking off the field, and you could tell Matt was kind of crying, a little upset, and Coach Hand was telling him he loved him, he did his job, he fought for his brothers. That was a real cool moment to kind of see. How much of that did you guys get a chance to kind of bond with as each other? I know as an offensive line unit, you guys are really unique, kind of special. Tell us about the bond you guys all had as a team, just as a unit, working together every day on the O-line.
Oh, man, that bond is deep, I mean, to say the least. I mean, I think, we're a one-of-a-kind group, like you said. I mean, not a lot of people or nobody else on the football team really has the pressure, but, doesn't get any of the limelight like we do. I mean, as soon as we mess up, jersey numbers getting called out, names getting called out. But you have a 300-yard rushing game, most of the time you're not going to see anybody say anything about the O-line, which, I mean, I think as a group we like that. We don't like being in the limelight and, having all that exposure, I guess you could say, because we keep it in our room. We know what we did, but, I mean, you're asking about our bond. I mean, I think majority of us in that room have a tattoo together. Actually, we call ourselves the thick fellas. So we a lot of us actually have that tattooed on our thigh. I mean, I don't know how else to say, how much of a bond we have other than that.
I don't think anybody's ever told us that before, that you guys all had.
Oh, you haven't heard that before?
No, that's new.
Yeah, there's a couple of us. We all got the just says thick fellas right across the front of our thigh.
Is thick with two C's or C and a K?
C and a K.
Okay.
Now, is there a lot of explaining to do when you guys, maybe a girlfriend sees that tattoo and doesn't know what's going on there?
We get some weird looks every now and then. But, once we explain, hey, it's, some O-lines call themselves the Hogs. We call ourselves the thick fellas.
All right, I'm with it. I think you guys should have marketed that a little bit more with the NIL stuff. That's the first time hearing of it. Maybe
we thought about getting after that, but I think I think it's just a little bit of laziness in there with us. We didn't really get that done.
So you were a part of a lot of big games in the last 4 years here. What's your favorite memory of UCF? What's your favorite game to look back on?
Oh man, if I had to say any, I mean, just as far as recent memory goes, I mean, obviously the Florida game, that was huge. I mean, once that time finally ran out, I understood that, that was the last time I'd be stepping on the field as a college football player. That was a big deal, especially seeing a lot of the younger guys, and, everybody's got tears rolling and everything. But if I had to say my favorite game of all time, it'd be the conference championship against Memphis, my first year here. That was
wild.
Unbelievable. I mean, I don't think the Nightmare could have showed up any better than they did that day.
That game was crazy. But the Florida game you just mentioned too, how much talk was there going into that game to actually prove to these guys? We've been talking for years as fan bases, but to actually, as players on the team, prove to these guys that we are the best team in Florida. And was there any talk on the field during that or afterwards about
it? Yes, no doubt. I mean, obviously we've always had social media beef, I guess you can say. But I mean, going into that game, we only had one thing on our mindset, and that's beating them. We didn't care the fact that they were Florida or not. I mean, yeah, that did have a lot to play in it, but honestly, we just wanted to humble some people. And I mean, all week we had been watching film, getting an understanding who was going to be playing in that game, who was not. Being a bowl game, you got to watch these things with, guys declaring and, opting out of the bowl games and everything. So that, we always kept an updated roster and made sure we were watching games. And I think, up front, at least we knew for a fact we could beat these guys undoubtedly 100%. And, I think, as the week progressed, it started becoming more of a personal thing than just a business thing. And, all the way up until that last practice we had, it was like, look, we're about to play Florida, and, this is where we got to show ourselves as the best team in Florida.
Take us back to the start of that season for a second. The Boise State game. Mike and I are outside. We're getting ready to go. It's the first game of the year, and you guys get sent back to the locker room for, I don't know, what felt like hours. What the hell did you do for those 2 hours that you were waiting? Did you sleep? Were you eating? Did you social media? What were you doing as you were waiting to get back on the field?
Well, first, the first lightning delay, I just decided I was going to go back, sit in my locker, look at my phone for a minute just to get an idea of how long this is going to last. And I think by the second or third one, I had completely taken my shoulder pads off, was laying on the floor, like, good Lord, are we even going to play this game? I mean, obviously we all wanted to at that point, but, you got guys laying on the floor, taking naps, guys looking at their phones. Other guys are just, rolling out some more and stretching. I mean, that was definitely a lot of chaos for sure. I mean, as Coach Malzahn said, that was our first big adversity of the year.
Oh, you guys had plenty more after that. Louisville.
No.
I mean, oh my God, have you ever seen as many people get injured as you saw during the Louisville game? I mean, did you guys step on a voodoo doll on the way in? Did you park on an Indian burial ground? Like, what the heck happened? What were your thoughts as you kept going to the locker room and seeing guy after guy lined up on the training table after the Louisville game?
Honestly, I'm blaming it on the turf 100% because, I mean, I could tell as soon as we stepped on that turf that it had not been well taken care of, and it definitely needs to be replaced. Because, I mean, literally we were going through warm-ups, and, I'd go to step or something, and then my foot was stuck in the ground. I mean, you don't want a lot of give with turf, because then you'll have people sliding all over the place. But at the same time, you don't want it feeling like you're stuck in mud. And then on top of that, I mean, it literally felt like we were walking on concrete. So, I mean, you had all that to deal with, which was obviously something that took a giant toll on us. And, I mean, it was definitely disheartening just because, we had a lot of guys that, were going to play a lot that year. And, I mean, they were going down injury after injury, and it was disappointing to see at the same time. I think our experience in the past had, because it was it's a big thing in our locker room to never worry and to never – never falter, I guess you could say, I mean, I don't think there's one point in any game we played since I started here where we thought we were going to, lose. I mean, not even depending on when we were. I mean, so, I mean, that game, that was tough for sure.
Not only were the players getting hurt, Malzahn gets a broken leg during the season. How much crap did you guys give Quadric Bullard for running him over during that time?
I don't think we gave Quadric as much crap as we did Malzahn breaking his leg. He had his little scooter rolling around. I think he had a new little decal or he had a license plate at one point for the scooter. So I think we joked on him a good bit about that. But man, yeah, that was definitely another big part of the season's adversity. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen a coach get injured like that during a game. I mean, it was just a freak accident, though, honestly.
How much did it change the next few games? He's coaching from a tabletop behind your back on the sidelines. He's not able to roam the sidelines, communicate maybe as much. Did that change anything for you guys on the field?
Yeah, it definitely changed for the line because Coach Hand had to go up into the booth for a couple games. And, that's something, I mean, at least in our room, we've never had to deal with was, an O-line coach not being on the field. So, I mean, we always kept the headset close and, stayed in constant communication with him the whole time. And, it was different, but I think, the maturity in our room that we have and, the amount of older players that we have kept us good. I mean, we we stayed pretty grounded the whole time with that, And of course, you had Coach Malzahn on his little platform. That was something different we had to look for.
That was weird, right? Did you guys feel weird turning around? If you wanted to yell at somebody, you just hear a voice coming from behind you. How did that work?
So basically, we had a GA. Caleb Pickrell, he was our GA at the time, and he kept his headset on 24/7. And whenever Coach Han needed to give somebody a good chewing, he'd tell Pick over the headset, "Hey, hands the headset to so and so." And I ain't gonna lie. There's sometimes you could hear it coming through the headset, even with it on. Because he definitely took it, a little bit more. Those chewings a little more serious since he was up in the booth and not down on the field. But they were butt chewings from care for sure.
All right, Josh, we got to ask, one of the stories that dominated the season, obviously, was Dylan goes down in the Louisville game. And, everyone's kind of wondering, when's he coming back? When's he going to play again? When's he healthy? When did you guys know that it was a probability that he wasn't going to play again this season?
Oh, man. I'd say about 4 or 5 weeks after that, we kind of knew, all right, at this point, we didn't think that there was really a point in him coming back by that, because he got over the injury, but at the same time, what's the point of coming back for a few games and injuring again when you got Mikey, who's, a young guy, but, needing the experience, and he's getting the experience, and then, with the whole transfer thing, we kind of, we got an understanding. There's no point you coming back now. If you got transferred, then, there's no point going back out there and risking more injury, when you won't even be wearing this jersey in a year. So, we understood, I'd say, about a week or two before everybody else kind of got the idea that he wasn't coming back.
So you guys knew at that point he had essentially intended on transferring at that point? You kind of already maybe spoken or unspoken? That was kind of the word you guys all kind of understood?
It was definitely more of an unspoken thing.
Yeah.
It was, the way the transfer portal's been this year, it's not shocking for anyone to leave. As many people have just dropped and left other schools, but once, we kind of got the idea of, what was going to happen.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's any hard feelings towards that just because, hey, if you find something you think is going to be better for you, dude, I can't hold nothing against you for going after it.
But as a teammate, you talked earlier about the brotherhood, how much you guys love and respect each other. I can tell you're a guy who really loves your teammates and will go to war with them. Does it at all? Do you kind of look around when people, maybe not even just Dylan, but when someone's maybe thinking about leaving or transferring, does part of you get kind of pissed off? Like, hey, man, be all in. I'm all in. Why aren't you all in? Or is it just the day and age, man? Is this just college football where it's just what it is now?
I think there's a part of you that gets mad. What the hell you think? You're thinking, hey, man, this is the team. Where you going? Why you want to leave? What's so bad about this? But at the same time, you got to bring it back down to a perspective of, of someone doing what they think's best for them. And like I said, at the end of the day, I can't get mad at anyone for that. So, if you think, hey, man, I didn't need to leave, this is something I think will be better for me in the long run, then, on a personal scale, I'm going to be pissed off. But at the same time, I'm not going to hold anything against you.
Well, you mentioned Mikey Keene. Now that we know sort of more of the story, the ball's on that kid, right? Coming in, replacing Dylan, obviously a lot of injuries. He's got to grow up on the spot, a true freshman, a new offense. And yeah, we had a couple of rough ones against Cincy and SMU, but by and large, he battled. He stuck it out all year. It sounds like he was injured a period of time too. What did you see from Mikey's growth and maturation as the season went on? And how, sort of towards the end, watching him close that victory out against UF, how proud were you of him being his teammate?
Oh, man. Unbelievably proud, just to put it short. Mikey got thrown to the fire. He had some big shoes to fill, coming in after KZ, coming in after DG. Without a doubt had some big shoes to fill and could have probably used another year to sit down and, understand the offense a little bit better, gain a little bit more. I don't even know it, but no doubt. He got thrown to the fire. And the way he approached every day, with a smile on his face and grinding and, just the pure effort he put into that team. I mean, it's unbelievable how proud I am of him as a young kid to come in here and do what he did.
The other quarterbacks, they have their little nicknames, KZ, DG. Don't you think Mikey could have really grabbed onto a nickname? I try to call him King Kong. Maybe that would like catch on. Maybe after he throws touchdowns, he can start beating his chest and stuff. You think that's something that can maybe you put it in his ear? Maybe he can go with it for next year?
I'll definitely talk to him about it. I don't know. I've always called him Mikey. I mean, I don't think I think it fits him just because, when I think about a Mikey, I think about a young guy or a young kid. And I mean, he's always been a little young gun on the team. I mean, he came in pretty young, and I mean, he had his 18th birthday, a quarter of the way through the season. So I mean, it was he's always been like a little brother, I guess you could say, because I mean, my younger brother, he's 19 years old. So the fact that I'm playing with someone younger than my baby brother, he always was that little kid in my head. So Mikey was what stuck,
But after he beats Florida, can we call him Mike? When does he graduate to Mike? You know what I mean?
Oh man, I think when that goatee starts feeling a little more, I'll call him Mike.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
How much did the playbook actually change after Dylan got hurt and Mikey came in? Because I mean, Dylan is a veteran, right? He's third year now starting, and the offense seems to be rolling pretty good. And now you got that, like you said, a 17-year-old kid coming in. How much of that playbook had to get scaled back for the next few weeks when he started?
I don't think we scaled it back per se. I think we just dialed in everything a little bit more. We wanted to get the plays that we wanted to run into the playbook and onto the call sheet. And, we did simplify it a little bit, just because he is a younger guy and a little bit more inexperienced and, maybe not as comfortable in the pocket sometimes as you want him to be, but, he's a young kid. And, I think at what game was it? It was about the halfway mark when, in his little tenure that, we started to open back up, because you could tell he started getting a little bit more comfortable.
Josh, when you look back on your career at UCF, what'll be your lasting memories? Is there one thing, one person? How do you sum up your 4 years at UCF?
Oh, man, I don't think you can sum those 4 years up. There's so many memories to think about. I mean, definitely the team. I mean, by far. I mean, I'm definitely going to remember those guys for life. I mean, the memories that I've shared with them on and off the field will last a lifetime. And I'm going to tell my grandkids some of the stories, not all of them, but some of the stories that, I share with a lot of those guys.
You can tell them about the tattoos?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, they're going to hear about the tattoos for sure.
And then what's next for you? Obviously, I saw, do I have this right? You graduated with 2 degrees from UCF?
Yep.
So what's next for you? Are you going to keep the football dream going? Are you going to take some time off? You get into coaching, get into professional life? What's next for you?
So right now I'm back in school, actually. I decided to take a little detour in life, I guess. I'm going back to school for a utility lineman.
Okay.
So I'm at a trade school right now. And, I'm thinking about doing that and then going on to an apprenticeship and, continuing that until the point I can make journeyman, hopefully, and seeing where that takes me.
Any interest in getting back into coaching, staying involved in football, or do you just need a break after all the time you put into the sport?
Oh, man. I thought about getting into coaching for a long time. It's something – football is always going to be dear to me, without a doubt. I mean, I'm definitely going to be the dad at Little League games that's, wants to jump in and coach, but probably, going to have to hold himself back a little bit. But, I don't think I'll get into coaching just because, I mean, football is, I think it's time to hang up the cleats and, take a break from a while from it.
Well, I can't see too many people holding you back if you're trying to get on the field. So I think you'll be quite all right if you do that. So, look, we appreciate your time. It's been fun, but we end every interview around here with some rapid fire questions. So these could be questions about music, movies, sports. You never know what you're going to get. So you prepared for these hard hitting questions?
Oh yeah, let's go.
All right. So take all of your offensive linemen, and let's say I'm going to have a chicken wing eating contest. 15 minutes. All the wings you can eat. Who comes out the winner?
I'm going to say between Cole Snyder and Lokai Paola. And I'm going to probably give the edge to Cole. That dude's got a bottomless pit when he wants it.
Okay.
All right, we know it's probably easy for the quarterbacks to go out there and have some game with the ladies, but among the big uglies, the guys, the thick, what do we call them, the thick boys?
Thick
Which one of you
fellas.
guys,
Thick
the thick
fellas.
fellas, which one of you guys has the most game when it comes? Who's the biggest ladies man when it comes to going out on the town?
Oh man, I'm gonna give it to Marcus Tatum. I mean, the guy doesn't even really try. He'll just go out and he'll go downtown at some slides if he wants. And I mean, the guys can spit game.
What is the worst away venue game you've been a part of? Which away game just has the worst stadium, maybe the worst fans, the worst setup? What place did you dread going to?
Oh man, I'm not gonna lie to you. Probably Memphis.
Wow,
the venue wasn't that bad. I mean, but the fans, oh my god, they got I think what we have. Not as good as the Nightmare, but they definitely have a fan base that you don't want to play around. I can remember actually my first year at UCF, we had a guy standing behind us just chirping at us the whole night. And then finally he yelled at us. He yelled our numbers out. I think it was me and Parker Boudreaux yelled our numbers out. And we turn around and look, and there's just this fat white guy pulls his shirt up, and he's got Memphis tattooed across the bottom of his stomach. I was like, dude, that is not what I want to look at right now.
What about
You should have
Tulsa?
showed him the thick fellas.
Yeah.
What about Tulsa? I imagine you fall asleep at Tulsa. That just seems like a dreadful place to play.
Yeah, I mean, cold. The fan base wasn't all the way there, I guess you can say. But I mean, no, I mean those games. They're not. You got to make your own juice, and if you can't do that, then you're not gonna have juice the whole game. But I mean, I'd say definitely the ones where the fans are getting involved are definitely tougher games.
You mentioned Parker Boudreaux, and we know he's now got that wrestling career going on. What would be your professional wrestling name, and what would be your entrance song?
Oh God, I don't know about an entrance song, but I know at one point I got called the Mud Turtle. I think I'm going with that. I think the Mud Turtle is definitely going to be my wrestling name.
You want to give us any background on why you're called the Mud Turtle?
So that was an old saying. I guess it's just one of those old school Mississippi sayings. When somebody's slow, you call them a mud turtle. And I referenced it one day, and then it just kind of stuck. Somebody called me your mud turtle. I was like, okay, I guess I am. And it kind of stuck from there.
Again, some more NIL deals you guys didn't capitalize on.
Oh, no doubt.
What's the last movie that made you cry?
The last movie that made me cry. Oh, man.
I mean, you're a big guy, but you're sensitive, right? You got feelings. I mean, sometimes those movies get to you.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt. Let me see. I'm not going to lie. The last time I was in Orlando, I was in Cole Schneider's apartment. We were watching Fury, the Brad Pitt movie.
Yeah.
Man, I didn't cry, but I got a little teary-eyed at the end of that one.
We got Dusty in there?
Oh yeah, got a little little allergies or something going on.
Yeah, that happens.
All right, I want to play a little game here. It's called Who's More Likely, Malzahn or Heupel? Are you ready? So who's more likely to know your birthday, Malzahn or Heupel?
I'm gonna say Heupel.
Heupel, all right.
Malzahn's
Who's more
a big
likely
number guy, but sometimes he forgets things.
Who's more likely to make you laugh?
Oh,
Who had
Malzahn,
more
for
jokes?
sure.
Malzahn's funny?
Oh yeah, hilarious.
All right. Who's more likely to fart in a meeting room and then blame one of the offensive linemen?
Oh man, that'd definitely be Malzahn. I can see that one.
Really? I thought for sure that was going to be Heupel. All right.
No, definitely. Malzahn's got a humor about him. He likes to mess with O-line a lot.
Who's more likely to win a karaoke contest?
Oh God, what are they singing?
I don't know. I guess they get to pick their own songs. I don't know.
I was about to say, if we're going with some red dirt country, I'm going Malzahn all the way. But if we're going any kind of Tennessee music, we're going hype, I guess.
All right. And who's more likely who got you more hyped up before a game?
That's tough. I don't know, man. Malzahn and the Booms get you going pretty good. He gives you this little pregame speech. It sounds like you're in like a Remember the Titans or something with the way his pregame speeches go. You hear that old Southern accent get to spilling out, and Man, I don't know. I think, yeah, definitely Malzahn.
All right.
All right, after the space game, Malzahn was presented with a jersey which looked like a boy's medium, and he tried to put that thing on. Was there any part of you that was scared that he was going to hurt himself, or were you just in laughter as he was trying to put on the medium jersey?
I mean, when they pulled it out, I was sitting there thinking, I was like, oh, he's definitely just going to, put it up on the wall or something like that. And then he went to go put it on. I was like, oh, man, I don't know about that, coach. It looks like something for Quadric or something like that, But he got it on. I mean,
we didn't see him get it off, though.
Fit some shoulder pads under there, but he definitely got it on.
We didn't see him get it off, though, to be fair. Did he have to cut it off? Do you know if he actually got it off?
I didn't even see him take it off, actually. I mean.
See? Yeah,
I hate to miss that part. That'd been funny.
All right. Which one of your teammates would you want on your side during a zombie apocalypse?
During a zombie apocalypse?
Yeah. Who's going to help you out the most?
Oh, I'm going with Jake Hescock for sure.
Was he just got guns? Is he a hunter or something? Why?
Oh, yeah, he's definitely a hunter. Me and him both. I mean, we've been hunting plenty of times in Florida. So, I mean, I trust his aim.
Well, Josh, we appreciate you taking some time to share your thoughts, your memories of your years at UCF. Obviously, you were part of some really big teams, and you were one of those guys that did the dirty work that makes this whole thing go. So I know we definitely appreciate you. Glad you could take some time to talk to us, and hopefully we get a chance to catch up with you soon.
All right, sounds good. Y'all have a good one.
All right, good night.
Charge on.
Okay, sons of UCF, both of you, you are the problem.
We will cow you up in just uno momento, Mike. Josh McMullen, again, probably not a household name. And this is the cool part about our show is, look, we get a chance to talk to any and everybody who played. We don't care when you played. We don't care where you played. If you've got a UCF football story, if you've got a UCF sports story, we want to hear from you. And Josh McMullen, again, probably not a household name, a guy that did the dirty work in the trenches for a number of years. And it was cool to catch up with him, Mike. We learned some fun things, the tattoo, the mud turtle, and apparently Cole Schneider can pretty much eat anything he wants.
Yeah, it was a cool interview with Josh. If you guys got to check it out too, we also have it on YouTube if you want to see him. But very good dude. Another guy like Austin Camden a couple of weeks ago that has just been here and wants to be here. Somebody that loves UCF, put in the work for years now, and just good to see. I like when we talk to these guys that people maybe didn't know as much about. And now they get to see a little bit of their personalities and stuff. It's a cool part about doing these interviews. So that was a fun one too.
Yeah, I mean, again, more insight to the Dylan Gabriel thing. He kind of gave pretty much a similar answer to what Austin gave us, which was kind of like, yeah, he left. So read into that what you will. I thought his answer, and the cool thing about doing these on video, which to Mike's point, you can catch these on YouTube, is seeing his face, his expression. When we talked about Mikey Keene, you can see a smile kind of light up on his face, Mike, and just how kind of proud he was too. It's cool to see these guys, in person doing these conversations and really kind of seeing their expressions. And you could see Josh really light up when we talked about Mikey Keene.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm getting the feeling that a lot of people on this team really do like Mikey Keene.
Yeah.
I know a lot of fans are getting excited about the Plumlee coming in, and maybe a lot of us are expecting him to be the starter, but, don't sign off on Mikey yet. Let's see what this kid can do. And he's got a big off season coming up. So, he can grow. I think going from season 1 to season 2 in college football is probably the time when you do the biggest growth. So this is it for him. Let's see what he can do.
Mike is breaking the news tonight. Mikey Keene's going to start, and Rick Pitino is going to be the coach. Mike is breaking the news, Mike. And if none of these pan out for you, you may end up being Cal of the Week at some point. But you get a pass this week because we don't know if you're right or not yet. But somebody's got to be Cal of the Week, and I'm sure you've got a person or two or six or three. I don't even know how many that you think are worthy of Cal of the Week. Where are you going to go?
Look, I have been to Cal before, so I won't make myself the Cal again. These things don't work out. But and sometimes I could redact cows. I could call you a cow one week, and then next week take it back, like I have to do with my Giants. I called them cows for not firing Joe Judge on Black Monday, as we were recording the show. He still had a job. Here we are the next week. He's out of there. All right, let's see if they can get the thing right finally. But the cows this week, I don't know. There are a few options to pick from.
the NFL football games, I haven't really gotten into them because most of them were crap. That could be a cow, right? The super, what do they call it? Super wild card weekend?
Yeah, super wild card now, Mike. Not a regular, super.
Yeah, that's right. They added 2 more games, right?
They did, yes.
So there's a Monday night game now. There's a Sunday night game. They are really putting – soon there's going to be – everybody's going to make the playoffs, and there's just going to be a big tournament at the end. But none of the games have been good. One of them was good. I think you want to get to that one later. But all the other ones have been blowouts. So that's not really doing much for me. Hopefully next weekend turns into a better football weekend for us. Who else can be a cow? You know what I saw? You mentioned it a couple times already on this show. Our newest tight end from your part of the woods, right? Up there in Jacksonville?
Yeah, I went to my daughter's high school. Luckily, they're nowhere near the same grade because I don't know. There may be some problems with that.
Yeah, Grant Stevens has posted a couple pictures of himself on the internet, on the interwebs, as the kids call it. And he has no shirt on, like you've mentioned. And the women are just going nuts over this guy. Now, who's the cow in this situation? Is it the women that are 3 times older than this guy? The ones that are twice his age? Because if this was men ogling over a 17-year-old girl, what would be the reaction towards that? What would people say about us?
Not good.
It would not be good.
Not good.
But these women get a free pass. I don't know. I don't want to call them cows for this.
But you're probably going to get killed for calling a woman a cow. I think that's another line, another sacred line that you're about to cross.
Yeah. Which, by the way, when I tried to get my UCF license plate, I wanted something like hate cow or ate a cow, right? But my wife refused because she drives the car more than me. She's like, you're not putting cow on the license plate when I'm driving.
That's fair. That's fair.
So anyway, I don't know. These women, and I don't want to name names. I've seen them out there. I've seen a lot of comments.
Have you taken names? Do you have names to name?
Should I name names?
You don't have to. I'm just curious. I didn't know if you had a list.
But they're perverts. That's what they are. They're perverts. Let's just call it what it is.
Wow.
Because if there was men doing this, we'd be called perverts. They're the perverts. They're the cows this week in my book. How's that?
Yeah, I don't dispute that one bit. Also, that's no way to catch a football, by the way. I mean, his there's no way he didn't post for that, right? Like, he's absolutely trying to flex that left arm. You don't catch a football like that. Come on.
Maybe this kid does.
I respect the hustle, though. He gets to campus. He's like, I don't know anybody. How can I meet people? I got an idea. And you know what? He's going to meet some people.
I bet you he is.
He's going to meet some people, Mike.
Some NIL deals, some MILF deals. Who knows?
You got to respect the sneaky good one there. You got to respect the hustle on his part. So I'm not mad at him. I'm just glad he's out of my city because I don't need him around the impressionable children of the greater Ponte Vedra area. So enjoy your time in Orlando. Stay away from.
Did your wife see pictures of this guy?
I don't know.
Forget your daughter at the same high school.
I don't know. I mean, she doesn't have social media, so I don't think so. I mean, I accidentally didn't show him to her, so I don't know. I don't think she's seen him.
Right. I'm not showing my wife either, just to be clear.
Fair enough. Well, you know what my wife did see yesterday, Mike? Something that you never want to see from your husband. Me sitting on the floor of my living room with my hands in my head in my hands, yelling aloud, "What the are we doing right now, Mike?" And you know why I was saying that? I'll tell you
I have
why.
a pretty good idea.
I'll tell you why, Mike. I'm a Cowboy fan. That's it. Dallas Cowboys. Been a Cowboys fan pretty much my entire life. Family was Cowboys fans. Grew up that way. It's been a lean couple of decades. We seem to have a couple of decent years, and then we fall apart. We have a good season, and we kind of blow it in the playoffs. So going into this Sunday, super wild card game, the Niners came to town, and they were putting it on us pretty good. It didn't seem like we had any answers, and then things slowly start to turn around, Mike. We're finally kind of making our groove. We get a nice little pick. Prescott's not playing great, but we have the ball, no timeouts. We got to make one final drive to set up for a Hail Mary. Scores 23-17. We throw a bunch of out routes, a couple of other little routes. We're gaining some ground. We're getting some yards. You're starting to feel better about, hey, we can at least get a Hail Mary off. There's no guarantee we're going to win. We can at least get a Hail Mary off, Mike. The good news is 14 seconds to go, and you know what? We can probably get one more quick little out route here, get a little closer, and just draw something up, and Hail Perryman style, right? Snap the ball to Dak Prescott, and of course, what else would you do on a 14-second game where you have no timeouts You run a quarterback draw up the middle, Mike. A quarterback draw up the middle.
That's right.
Up the middle.
How'd that go for you?
He got a lot of yards. He got like 17 yards.
When he first took off, you said, "Oh my God, he's going to go all the way." For a second.
Yes, I thought he must have seen something.
Bounds, at least.
I thought he must have seen a lane open, like somebody fell down in the middle and he's got all this room. Or I thought he was going to pitch it. I was like, maybe they're setting up some like crazy play where he's going to run halfway and he's going to like pitch it back to some guy or something. I don't even know if that's legal, but I thought, okay, maybe we're going to pitch something here. And then just kept running. And he kept running, and then all of a sudden he get tackled. And at first I was like, do we have a timeout? I thought we used it. I was literally confused. I mean, I had some seltzer, so I'm like, maybe I missed. I'm pretty sure we used all 3 timeouts, but why else would you do that? And then, of course, they get up and they decide to just make a wall that won't allow the official to get through. He trips and falls. He knocks everybody over. And all he has to do is touch the ball. That's a weird rule, by the way. He's got to touch the ball. Time expires, and we lose the game.
Yeah, did you ever know that was a rule? Like, I guess we always just, I mean, it happens that the referee sets the ball. I don't think about it ever. But I never thought that was a rule. The referee has to come touch the ball. You count on this guy to come 50 yards downfield to come touch the ball. I'm sorry. Well, I'm not sorry.
No, you're not.
You know, I hate
your
team.
Yeah.
Yesterday was the best day of NFL football I've had in like 6 years, just watching the Eagles get destroyed. Yeah. And then I was glad that you guys came back and made the game because, like I was saying, all the NFL games suck. So I found myself at a point yesterday when it was 23-7. I was like, can the Cowboys just at least just make it a game? I still want them to lose in devastating fashion. I was hoping you'd come down and miss a field goal or whatever.
Mission accomplished. Yeah.
Right? So it worked out perfect.
Yeah.
The Eagles got destroyed, and then I got to watch that. It was fantastic theater. But, yeah, oh, man, if he goes down – they were at the 30-yard line or something when he took off, 35?
Yep.
I mean, I'd rather take 2 shots in the end zone, maybe 3, instead of running up the middle, right? At least maybe one more pass, because they were going down the field so smoothly. The first play was nice. They caught it. They did the flip. They get out of bounds. 3 plays in a row out of bounds. They went down the field 40 yards, right? Basically 40, 50 yards.
Right on down the field.
Oh, man. I think you take maybe one more shot like that, gain another 10 yards. And then you take 2 shots to the end zone. I think you have time for maybe, or just 2 shots from the end zone from the 35, from the 30-yard line, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So
that's
not even a Hail Mary, man.
That's a fireable offense, in my opinion. I mean, I don't know who needs to get fired. I mean, Kellen Moore apparently is going to be like the next head coach of every team in the NFL.
Yeah, that's what they think.
I don't understand that. But that's a fireable offense. Somebody's got to get fired. Like, did we call that? I'm also unclear. I heard a bunch of post game. Was that the play that was called? Did Dak take off on his own? I need more clarity on that. I mean, it seemed to indicate they called that play, but if that's the case, fireable offense. I mean, you can talk about Johnny Dawkins' hot seat. Somebody needs to get their ass burned in Dallas.
They definitely called that on purpose. You saw as soon as it happened, that's a draw play. And he took 1 step back and he took off. He didn't look for any receivers or anything. There was no blitz coming. He just went. He had a wide open field. That was a called play. They obviously didn't take into account the referee coming down and having to touch the ball and spiking it and having enough time. Or they needed to tell him, if you're going to do that, or that is the play, only go 10 yards and then go down. He took off for like 20, maybe even more. That killed like another 5 seconds.
To be fair, that umpire was officiating from like 90 yards back, so he had to sprint like 70 yards to get to the line of scrimmage. I feel like we got to look at that too. And that doesn't even account for a play earlier in the game where Dallas ran a fake punt, got the first down, and tried to trick or outsmart San Fran. So they kept the punt team on the field and lined them up in a fake formation, and were trying to get San Francisco to take a timeout. The Niners did not take a timeout. So Dallas then runs the offense back on the field with like 15 seconds on the play clock. But because they substituted, guess what? Now the Niners can substitute. So they brought guys in. The umpire stood over the center again, wouldn't let him snap. We had to burn our own timeout because we got too cute with that stupid fake punt play. I mean, Mike McCarthy just got to go. It's got to go. It's just not going to work, man. It's got to go. Got to go.
We have the Giants and the Cowboys again searching for head coaches 2 years later.
Got to go.
Who do you want?
I don't care.
Pitino?
Sure, if he's available.
Urban Meyer?
I will. No, I don't want Urban Meyer. Yeah, give me anybody. Give me Lane Kiffin. Like, I don't really care. I'd take Lane Kiffin, actually. It'd be interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, I bet it would be.
That would be super interesting. Although Cliff Kingsbury is getting hammered by the Cardinals right now. Or with the Cardinals, excuse me.
Yeah, so another blowout game we have on our hands here tonight.
Yeah.
Who do you got? Who do you think is going to take the whole thing? You've seen super wild card weekend.
I can't figure out if the Packers are good or not. They didn't play this weekend. They're the 1 seed. I feel like I can't name a single player on their defense, but yet they're the 1 seed. You know, Aaron Rodgers is good. They really confound me. The Bucs looked okay, but they get hurt like every 4 plays. The Rams are looking okay. Stafford's kind of the wild card. He's playing well tonight, although they have a defensive touchdown. I guess I'll go Packers on the NFC side, but I don't know if they're any good. No idea.
I'll tell you what, San Francisco it's going to be a tough out for anybody too. That team's pretty good.
Yeah.
So, all the teams remaining now in the NFC look good. AFC too. Tennessee, are they getting Derrick Henry back?
I believe that's the idea. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that's talk about a tough out too, and you're gonna have to beat them on the road.
Yeah, I need Chiefs Bills AFC Championship game. I mean, the Bills just absolutely mollywopped the Patriots.
Well, they play each other next week.
I know.
It's not even a championship game. They play each other next week.
Well, I mean that should be the championship game then.
Right. Well, I mean the winner of that game plays Tennessee, I guess. Or who's Tennessee's got a tough game too.
Yeah, who knows?
Oh no, the Bengals. No, so I think Tennessee advances, and then you got. You want to see the quarterbacks in the Super Bowl, I guess, right? So you want Mahomes and Rodgers. That'd be a good matchup. We just saw Mahomes and Brady.
Yeah.
You want to see Brady Rodgers again in the NFC Championship game.
Yeah.
Yes? All right.
Well, we can all agree on that. But the Cowboys, Cow of the Week, Mike McCarthy, Cow of the Week, Kellen Moore, Cow of the Week. I don't even know who. Dak, Cow of the Week. All of you, just line yourselves up. You know, I'm embarrassed for you. What I'm not embarrassed to tell you, Mike, is Thursday live show. Don't be late. Don't miss it. 8 p.m. sharp. We are going over wide receivers. We'll maybe have a wide receiver guest, former UCF guy, come on, talk about wide receivers. Ronnie Weaver was great last week, by the way. If you missed that, check it out on our YouTube page or website, twonightsmedia.com. You can check all that stuff out there. And then Thursday night, 8 p.m., we are there. Mike, Adam, Trace. It'll be a sparkling good time, Mike.
Well, no, Mike, because you told me not to miss it. I will miss it.
Ah.
I already told you guys about that.
Unbelievable.
Maybe I will pop in. Maybe I will pop in for a guest appearance at some point.
Yeah.
Who's the guest host? You guys got who? You guys had a guest host one time.
We did.
I think I forgot about that. You told me the UCF biggie on me without telling me. I have not forgotten. So,
yeah.
If I find another guest host, maybe get a wide receiver to guest host it with you guys.
Yeah, I don't know who. No guest host, as far as I know. But Trace also is in charge of the booking and all the rundowns on that stuff. So I sometimes get notified when you get notified.
How about don't we owe Missy McAwesome an appearance on the show? Does she want to guest host? She want to take the Mike's chair on Thursday?
Yeah, if she's listening, maybe she'll take us up on that offer. Yeah,
you guys figure it out.
All right, well then, everybody but Mike miss it because it should be a good one. And then you have a good week, buddy. I know you're going on some vacation this week, so you have fun, have a good time, and everybody out there, be safe, man. Have some fun. We'll catch up with you guys all soon.
Yeah, man, and I'm looking forward to another week, and hopefully the basketball team gets the thing figured back around this week.
We can only hope. Everybody, be safe. Go Knights.
Charge on.